January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery, we need to never forget because...
Woohoo! Sunny Hostin on The View. Is she based? That was some pretty based claims she was just making right there. Apparently, January 6th was an atrocity, one, and two, it was the worst thing in American history compared to, say, World War II or the Holocaust or slavery. Oh, based AF. I never would have thought that anyone on The View would be so utterly based and red-pilled. As you can imagine, Ben Shapiro is not impressed with Sunny Hostin saying that the January 6th event, a protest / riot, he's not impressed with her saying that it's worse than the Holocaust in particular. As you can imagine, Ben Shapiro has a personal interest in that particular event. But let's get into it. Let's get a bit of context here and just see how this goes. Spoiler alert, not well.
First was January 6th, and that means it was time to talk about democracy and quote-unquote threats to democracy. Now, it seems to me a rather large threat to democracy would be cudgeling the largest social media companies on the planet into censoring your opponents. That seems to me a rather large threat to democracy, a systemic threat to democracy. In fact, a much larger and more systemic threat to democracy than a rally that led to a smaller riot, that led to a group of people who are fairly small in number going out of control at the Capitol and committing criminal acts. That seems to me significantly less bad than what the Biden administration did to censor free speech, try to force 80 million Americans to vaccinate against their will. There are many things that the left does on a daily basis in order to maximize power and prevent the freedom of Americans. And those are much more threatening, but the left's got one card, and they're going to play it over and over and over, and that card is bad things happened on January 6th. So Kamala Harris had to, ironically, preside over the failure of her own presidential campaign yesterday in Congress. She had to certify the election, as her job as the vice president of the United States, and here she was tooting her own horn about it.
Today, I did what I have done my entire career, which is take seriously the oath that I have taken many times to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, which included today performing my constitutional duties to ensure that the people of America, the voters of America, will have their votes counted, that those votes matter, and that they will determine then the outcome of an election. I do believe very strongly that America's democracy is only as strong as our willingness to fight for it. Every single person, their willingness to fight for and respect the importance of our democracy. Otherwise, it is very fragile, and it will not be able to withstand moments of crisis. And today, America's democracy stood.
What is going on? What timeline am I living in? Kamala Harris sounded sober, and her sentences actually made sense. She should have talked more like that during the campaign. She might have had, a sliver of a chance to win, maybe. But yeah, this is a crazy timeline. Kamala Harris speaking coherently, not saying much, but speaking coherently. And Sunny Hostin being based. Let's go back to Ben Shapiro.
Okay, wow, look at America's democracy stood January 6th also, like 2021. This nonsense that we were like on the verge of the government being overthrown is just absolute sheer crap. But again, the left has to play that up because their actual goal is to hollow out all of the institutions of American life, ranging from church to family, and then replace them with an overweening state in the name of, quote, democracy. That's their actual goal. So they got to play up January 6th because it's threats to democracy. Well, we turn to the world's stupidest human being, Sunny Hostin, over at The View. It is amazing. There are only, I believe, 5 hosts on The View, and 2 of them have now made big Holocaust boo-boos. It's a pretty high percentage of Holocaust boo-boos happening over at The View. Remember, Whoopi Goldberg once suggested that the Holocaust was not based on race because her head is so far up her ass it's coming out her face again. Well, Sunny Hostin is somehow even dumber than Whoopi Goldberg. So yesterday on The View, this collection of high IQ intellectuals Sunny Hostin suggested that January 6th was akin to the Holocaust. Now, just going to put it out there that a smallish riot at the Capitol building was not, in fact, comparable to the Holocaust. I don't feel like that one's particularly controversial. But, again, not much going on upstairs over at The View.
I think we need to find moral clarity, you know, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. And then you started seeing people backtrack that and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, you know, we need to move on from January 6th. I say no. You don't move on because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, you know, like World War II, things that happened, you know, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery, we need to never forget because past becomes prologue if you forget any race.
Oh, my God. I mean, how many historical statements that are false can you make in 20 seconds there? First of all, I love that the Holocaust is now in American history. It's actually mostly in European history. Like, we liberated death camps, the United States. We actually were not responsible for the Holocaust. And then comparing it to World War II, where hundreds of thousands of Americans died in battle and hundreds of thousands more were wounded, and comparing it to chattel slavery, I feel that that's a little insulting to, you know, black Americans to compare January 6th to centuries of chattel slavery in the United States. That seems kind of wild. But they are so over their skis. They got nothing. They got nothing. And then, so they're going to fulminate. Because when they cannot control the levers of power, all they can do is about how terrible the world is. That's all they can do. And then use that as a lever in order to control the levers of power again. Folks, I used to think restless nights were just part.
All right. Yeah, very interesting. I wish this is on Ben Shapiro's channel, but after I record this, I am going to go over to The View's channel, and I just got to see the comments under this video because that's a pretty bold statement by Sunny Hostin of The View that January 6th was an atrocity and one of the worst things in American history. And of course, our Jewish friends, like Ben Shapiro, will take a particular exception to the claim that it is worse than the Holocaust. And, you know, we don't want to go down that road right now, maybe in another video, but that was absolutely hilarious. I think even fans of The View are going to be roasting them in the comments. Let's just take a little bit look later, see if there's somebody else mentions
Or to an insurrectionist?
14 days from today, you will hear many soberly and reverently laud the peaceful transfer of power. Well, I hate to be the fly at the picnic table, but you can't peacefully transfer power to an insurrectionist simply because it took them an extra 4 years to finish the job.
Man, some serious earrings Joy Reid has on there.
This was a violent transfer of power. The most violent in U.S. history, if we're being honest.
No, the transfer of power from Donald Trump to Joe Biden was not violent at all. As I recall, it happened perfectly peacefully. There was the January 6th protest/riot, and then a couple weeks later, Joe Biden took office perfectly peacefully. That's how I remember it. You tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, but as Ben Shapiro has rightly said here in this clip, there's only one thing, at this time of year, there's only one thing left, only one card left they have to play, and that is January 6th, the January 6th card. Oh, that was beautiful. I hope more of them, I just hope they continue along this path, you know, just never giving up, never giving up. Never giving up. It's only pushing more people towards our side. I'm 100% convinced of that. Let me know what you think in the comments. I've been reading all the comments recently, and I've been getting a lot of them. And I reply to quite a few. I can't reply to everybody, of course, but I am willing to have a respectful discussion. If you disagree with me on anything, just keep it respectful, and we will chat. In the meantime, please like and subscribe. Really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.